Welcome to Curvy Girl Conversations, the podcast. I am Erika.
And I'm Kam, representing for the Curvy Girls on the West Coast.
And I'm representing for the Curvy Girls on the East Coast. We're going to have meaningful, honest, curvy conversations.
Unapologetically about navigating through this beautiful, curvy world.
Let's go. Hey, y'all. Hey, what's good with you?
Hey, ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. That's like,
Look, now I'm going to dance. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. I know that's right. First of all, whose intro is better than ours? That intro right there was fire.
It has me doing the shoulder shrug.
I'm dancing behind the scenes like, yeah. No, but I'm thrilled to be here. We are into our new season and we are on YouTube, y'all. We're doing something that we had not done before, but we are here and we're excited about it. And one of the very first episodes we did on Curvy Girl Conversations, the podcast, was about being excited. And that's exactly what we're doing today in rolling out this whole YouTube thing. We're going to be learning. You can learn together with us. This is new for us, but this is next level. And, you know, as you do everything else, we're very business minded folks. So this is next level for us. Kam, what's been going on?
Loving, living, and life, and just, making sure that more than anything that I keep this right here straight.
Girl.
Keeping it straight, trying to see, we all do the daily grind. We go to work, we have families, we have everything, and there's just so much out there that can just really suffocate our minds. And girl, I'm trying to stay straight. That's what I'm trying to do.
I know that. While I am a serial entrepreneur, I do still have a 9-to-5, which is my investor. I call them my investor.
I love that.
They are my investors, so I can do stuff like this, so we can be here. But one of I'll call him a coworker. He says to me every morning, "How are you?" And I'm blessed. I woke up this morning because there was a point in time in my life where I didn't have that practice of saying that, but being able to get up and have another opportunity to get after it again is a blessing in itself. So yes. And welcome back, guys, to Curvy Girl Conversations, the podcast. We're going to do quite a few different things this season. And of course, it's going to involve continuing to bring on guests. And we're going to, I guess, get right to it because I mentioned that Kam and I are very business minded, right? And Kam, you want to jump in?
Well, we're business minded, and I mentioned that I'm trying to keep my sanity and keep all the negativity out. And so every now and then you get the most of best worlds. You get somebody who is also business minded, but it approaches it from a different perspective. And how do you move forward and keep that toxicity away? And we brought a gem on. We bought a gem. We bought an emerald. We brought a diamond, and we brought a sapphire on today. Erika, let's just get this thing going.
It's going down. I had the pleasure of meeting Nuria, our guest, at a business retreat, and she had a phenomenal spirit. She was very supportive, as you know. We just hit it off immediately, and I knew that we had to have her on. So y'all, just a quick intro. Nuria is a recovering anger addict and people pleaser. Like, I know how many of us can say that, right? She's a certified meditation teacher, an identity-based life coach, and a certified yoga instructor. Nuria is also a Reiki healer, so that's different. And she also offers healing and transformation services through her wellness business, which is called Dragonfly Cultivated Healing. So without further ado, y'all, let's bring up Miss Nuria. Nuria, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for that. I'm like, who are they talking about?
Wow. Yes. Welcome, sis. I'm so Very glad to have you on. Kam and I are thrilled going into this new season and the new steps that we're taking here and on YouTube. So you are our very first YouTube guest. So
I'm honored.
We need to work on sound effects.
Also, you all look so fantastic on here. Kam, I love this color on you. I mean, it just brings out all the lusciousness. Okay. That's my color, that coral type orange. Really beautiful.
Girl, and stop, Erika, but don't stop. Girl, stop, but don't stop. Thank you so much.
I know where you got that shirt because it's really pretty.
Okay. I got you.
Thank you.
You're gonna be like, no way. But yeah, I totally.
Yes. Well, welcome. We're very pleased to have you. And just to kind of get into it, I read your bio, but tell us a little bit about yourself and how you landed on becoming a meditation and yoga teacher.
Yeah, I feel like I had to because I was going to lose everything that I loved and held dearly. A career person. I have 3 girls at home, a loving husband. Really value family and all those things. But every once in a while, maybe every month or 2 or something like that, my friend Furia, the fire-breathing dragon, would show up at my house and scream and yell at my family, and they would get all small and scared, and they would go into a corner, and she would just scream and scream at them. So one time Furia came up and she screamed at everybody. And I told her, let's take a couple plays off. So we went and sat down and calmed down. And I went downstairs with my husband to see my husband to tell him, why Furia was so upset. And he said, she comes around again, you're gone. Like, basically, you need to choose between your anger, because that's what Furia was, my anger, or your family, because you can't have both. What you're doing is detrimental to your children's health and well-being because you're screaming at them and at us, and it's just not cool. Wow. And I decided to choose me. Not my anger, not my family, me. I decided that was the last time I was ever going to scream and yell. And it was. And that was maybe 5 years ago. And it was. But what I had to do was the internal work, because I thought I just won't scream anymore. Oh, right. No big deal. You can't just not scream anymore. Not when you don't even know where it's coming from, and it's an addiction, That's what I realized, was that anger was something that I could not control, or I thought I couldn't control. So I went through this long journey of figuring out where it was coming from, unrooting it, replacing it with something that was more beautiful, that really supported me, and then voila, step by step, things got a lot better. So even when I decided I wasn't going to scream and yell anymore, it doesn't mean I wasn't angry anymore. It just means I didn't scream, but I had to put it somewhere.
When you said Furia, and as you spoke through that, I'm thinking we all have a Furia. Her name is I'll call her Shakri. I'm gonna call her Shakri. And I'm sure you have a Furia, or you've had a Furia where
I don't have a Furia, but I can relate to what that looks like.
Like, that kind of person where you become someone else in a moment of anger or frustration, where you actually, maybe you don't name her, but you become something that's not even becoming for you. So I respect the fact that your husband said, wait, pause, rewind. This is the last time that we're revisiting this. But that was, I love how you said you chose you in that moment, because like you said, you didn't choose your family, you didn't choose the anger, you chose you, and you decided to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And you've done that through, I'm assuming, meditation and yoga?
Meditation was huge. I feel like that was first. Yoga came because I was in pain, because I had so much stress. So my shoulders were hurting, my back was hurting. It was holding the world. I was holding the world on my shoulders and my back and my neck. And so I said, I must do something to help with this, yoga. So that's how I was introduced to these different modalities. But I will say that I feel like all of us have some level of alter ego only because we seem to identify with the emotion that we're having. We think, I am angry. How many people have said that? I am frustrated. I am sad. You have sadness that might be moving through you, but you're Kam. You're Erika.
Correct.
You're love. You're not angry, So anytime we identify with it, that's not us. So this is the alter ego that's coming in saying, no, I'm this, I'm whatever. I can't even think of another emotion right now, but all the things.
Well,
so it's up to us
so
to really recognize when we are deciding that this is me, and then sit back and say, okay, so let me watch this right now. It takes only 90 seconds for an emotion to go through your body. 90 seconds.
Kam, you
90 seconds.
That's why you want to jump in?
No, I wanted to say, because I just wanted to clarify something, because you said we all have one, and I said I don't. And I'm going to be transparent and vulnerable, because Nuria, you were very transparent and vulnerable with us, and I respect that and appreciate that and honor that. I live with the Furia. So no, I do not do that. But if my husband sees this podcast, he's going to kill me, literally, figuratively. But that I have been in your husband's position where, hey, we can't do this. We can't yell. But one of the things that I had to respect and understand is that his intention was not what the reaction solicited, right? And so, to be honest, I met him halfway, and there was a learning curve. But yeah, I've been on the other side of that, and you know what? It's very, very, it's very sad to watch, because it's literally losing control. And you made a good point, Nuria. You said it's not me. It's something you're experiencing, right? Like that anger is something you're experiencing, but it's really hard to separate that, when it's being aimed at you. So as you shared, and you were so like open to what that experience was, I felt, like I said, honored just that you would share that, and thank you. So and we barely started, and we've already done that.
That 90-second piece makes you want to revisit. I mean, we're like you said, are we even 5 minutes in, and I'm feeling like I'm getting therapy. I'm feeling that, like, that 90 seconds. Imagine if you sit and you wait before you react. Imagine if you feel what you're feeling for that 90 seconds and then let that emotion pass. Yeah. That one of the things that stood out to me recently, and the reason why I want to make sure that we have this conversation too, some of that is learned in toxic behavior, right? So you recently made a post. I don't know if it's recent. I know I saw it recently on your social media page, speaking about toxic behaviors and how that can impact a person, and toxic beliefs and things like that. Can you explain how, like, toxic beliefs and behaviors can affect a person's body image, their image of self, or how that can alter oneself?
Yeah. So first, I want to talk about what a belief is, because in order to know what a toxic belief is, you got to know what a belief is. Most beliefs were developed when you were very young, because that's the time when things get hard coded, right? There's not that many things in your brain yet, because you're very young. So it's very easy to hard code a belief in someone's head at a very young age. A belief happens when an event happens, you give it an explanation, and you have a really strong emotion around it. So the event could be, if we're talking about body image, the event could be you're eating a lot, right? Maybe you had a really big meal or something like that, and your stomach, you got a big stomach ache because you ate. My parents say that they called me the stomach when I was little. So you ate a bunch of food, now your stomach hurts, and your parent says to you, "Oh, you're gonna get fat if you keep eating all that." Your stomach, and then you think in your mind you're very hurt by this. Maybe you're very sad about the way your parent talked to you. So you have the event, you have the emotion, which is I'm very sad, and then you give it an explanation. People won't like me if I am fat because the parent said you're fat, right? You're going to be fat if you eat all this food. People aren't going to like me if I eat a lot of food and I'm fat. That's a belief.
That's a belief, right?
Is it true? No.
Absolutely not.
But from now on, because that happened, every time you associate food with something that's happening, with an emotion, you feel the sadness or something like that, this belief is going to come up again every single time.
Right.
And it keeps getting stronger and stronger, because now what a belief loves to do is it loves to find ways to get stronger. Just like a tree has leaves, you have your negative thoughts are the leaves on a tree. The beliefs are the roots. So your thoughts are the leaves, your beliefs are the roots.
I like that.
The thoughts feed the roots. The beliefs get stronger as the leaves get fed. So if you think about a negative or belief that's toxic, which is the one we just created, this is a toxic belief because this is not true. And another thing about a belief is that it can be proven wrong. So if it is not 1 + 1 = 2, that is a truth. If it cannot be proven, then it is a belief. If you can give it another explanation, then it is a belief. It is not a truth.
Wow.
So now you've created this belief by no fault of your own, right? You're just a little kid. What are you supposed to do? And now you're carrying this throughout your life, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And doesn't even, like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. I was in Italy last week. I was in Preano, which is on the Amalfi Coast.
Beautiful.
And my husband and I went out to dinner, and there were these seats that were right on the water, right? They were right on the water, and I wanted to be right on the water on those seats, but I guess our reservation got put in later, so we didn't get the seats on the water. Well, another 2 people came in, and they said, hey, we don't have a reservation. We want a seat. The lady puts them at the water. And I'm thinking, is
so
it
your
my
belief?
What? Yep.
Your belief.
My whole body, down to my legs. I felt like I couldn't move.
Right.
I could feel it in my entire body, my whole body. And I just sat there and I just felt it. And I just allowed that feeling to go through. And I knew it was attached to some belief that I wasn't good enough. You're not good enough to have that table at the right? Now I could have reacted. I could have said, hey, lady, why didn't you give us that seat at that table? But I didn't. I said, okay, I see. And I didn't respond to it. And I just let it go. And guess what? A guy was seated at our table just over to the right of us. We had the most fantastic conversation with him. Had I held on to that belief and said, I demand a table at that seaside table, maybe they would eventually moved us there and we would have never met that person.
Right. Wow.
So the belief would have changed my circumstance.
So I love this. I absolutely love this. So is there a part of that, depending on whatever aesthetics or phenotype we are that can kind of contribute to this negative self-perception that in fact turns into these toxic beliefs?
So a specific type of person that could be susceptible to certain types of beliefs?
Yeah, like this negative self-perception.
Yeah.
Because, for example, you immediately ascribe this to skin color, which we all have that, and
Experience.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's the commonality that makes it something that we go to. But are there certain groups, and yeah, that's exactly the question, be it, you know, body image or whatever, that are more susceptible to having these toxic beliefs?
I can't say that definitively, because I really can only speak for myself and the people that I've talked to and what they've gone through. Um, I feel it's I would say that the number one deciding factor is going to be upbringing. So your parents, right? Because parents are so pivotal in your upbringing, and they're so pivotal in those formative years that a lot of the beliefs that you're going to create about yourself are based on what your parents or maybe your siblings are feeding you. So what are you being fed at a really young age? And is that something that is, because you've heard of many, people in the Black culture who, I can't say many, but maybe parents really shielded them from the toxicity that was outside of their family. Parents are extremely important. So and then there are people conversely who grew up in riches and all the lusciousness and are very toxic or have a lot of toxic beliefs.
Right.
So I think a lot of it depends on the mental well-being of your parents. Is that a certain demographic of people?
Great point.
I know that I believe I have some, I'm going to make this personal for a minute. I believe I have some toxic behavior. I believe I'm tied to some toxic behavior. And a lot of it has come from at a younger age, maybe being quiet, maybe sitting back and allowing things to happen that should not have been allowed to happen, maybe not speaking up and not, being heard, right? Now, I don't know if that's considered toxic or not. And I applaud you with what you did and how you reacted in Italy. Because I too have gone to Italy and experienced something very similar. Unfortunately, my reactions weren't as as polite as yours. But that whole toxic piece, and it makes you wonder: is this toxic behavior, or is we go back to learned behavior, right? Because I have this. My mother says now you should have been a lawyer because I have to defend everything. Like I have to speak to something. I have to speak to everything. So even in that moment, it seemed like you used that 90 seconds where you said, take the wheel, just take the wheel. Right. Um, and someone like myself may have in that moment said, excuse me, ma'am, can I talk to you? Very politely, very professionally, very respectfully, ask the question. Maybe I just misunderstood because you told us that that table wasn't available. Maybe there was a reservation. Maybe is there a reason why we weren't allowed that same table that they have? You know what I mean? And I handle that differently now. Back in the day, I'd have been like, no, wait a minute, let's go. We're not staying here. I'm not giving my money here. I'm not. That would have been the toxic response, right?
Yeah.
I feel like my cell phone is going off. I'm sorry, y'all. That would have been a toxic response. So I guess as we get older, because I'm gonna take my girl's word, I'm at a big age right now where I've been through some things. I think we all collectively can say we've been in some situations where, like your situation with your family and your husband, where you were lashing out a little bit, where we've learned from our experiences, right? And then we've kind of changed the direction of those. How I'm gonna bring it back to meditation and yoga, only because when you were speaking about the yoga piece and carrying, the weight of the world, and so many of us feel that way. The benefits of the yoga piece and the meditation, how do you think that benefited you in that moment?
Yeah. So I will say, let me just back up. The table was a 4-top. So what I found out was that they had 4 people in their group, which is why they got that that foretop.
Oh, good.
So that was the reason.
Take your answer. Good.
Yes.
What is the reason? Give me a reason.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with giving yourself some space, allowing that emotion to run through, doing some internal reflection and saying, how could I help this situation? How would me saying something help this situation? Will it help the situation?
Right.
And really looking for honest answers to come back, like just giving it so that you're responding and not reacting.
Right.
There's a difference between reacting to something and responding to something,
I like that.
So
I like
how
that.
can we come from a place of responding versus a reaction to it? And I think that's where we go beyond the thoughts and the beliefs that are going through our heads and say, okay, there's something beyond this, right? You said, Jesus, take the wheel. There's something beyond this thought that's coming in my head, which is, I'm not good enough to sit at this table. Oh, so I'm not good enough? Because you know you're good enough, right? You already know you're good enough. You already know you're love, right? So how do you move beyond that thought, get to where you know where it's coming from? Maybe you don't, but if you don't, move past it and say, okay, right. So how can I create some love in this situation? How can I be vulnerable even in this situation? Hey, I was really hurt by A, B, and C. And then they can say, oh, I certainly didn't mean to hurt you. Well, that's a foretop, and I couldn't sit you there because of that. I think it's coming from that place of vulnerability versus the you. I'm feeling hurt right now. And what does that do? And how's that vulnerable? Like you said before, Cam, how does that vulnerability really help others grow?
That goes back to that being vocal about how, and this is again something I've learned over the years. Cam and I both have sisters. We both grew up in situations. Long story short, I kind of in certain instances, when I was younger, at a very young age, I was very quiet. And as I've gotten older, where I can communicate respectfully, because it wasn't always respectful, but now I can communicate respectful and let that person know, hey, this is how this situation just made me feel. Now, whether that's going to impact you, whether you're going to own that, and you don't have to, as long as I'm vocalizing that this just made me feel uncomfortable. This just made me feel like I'm ready to move to the next step. But what I would like to learn, and even we don't have enough time. What I would like to learn, because what you're talking about, I know so many people would like to learn more about meditation and yoga, right?
Yeah.
The physical piece of yoga, I know I need in my life, my back, my neck, and my back. Okay.
Yeah.
But the physical, that 90 seconds that you alluded to earlier, is that something that you would recommend? Like, what would you recommend to someone listening, our listeners now, that would like to go down the yoga meditation path of working through, childhood stuff, working through anger, working through, the things that Cam was speaking about?
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you have for that?
So what's interesting is that really everything that I'm talking about is meditation. Like sitting with your emotion for 90 seconds is meditation. That is it. It's not
so true. Yeah. So true.
It's not like absence of thought. That's something that you could eventually ascend to. It is sitting with yourself and being okay with not being okay.
That part.
That's it.
It's really hard for people to do that too, because folks don't. Being with yourself sometimes can be a very uncomfortable situation because you can't lie to yourself. Sometimes you can lie to everybody else out there, but when it's just you and you know all your secrets. You know the secret person of the heart. So it's really hard to do, sometimes. So what are some of the steps that a person can take to be comfortable doing that, to get in that space?
So first I'll say that the reason why Furia is so valuable to me is because it gives me space. It's so much easier for me to talk about a time when I was angry toward people and screamed and yelled at my family, when I can say it's Furia, right? So it's watching and being an observer. So being an observer of your life, being an observer of your feelings, being aware. That's a
I
really
love this. I love this so
very
much.
important word in meditation is being aware. Oh, oh, I see that thought. Oh, wow. Oh, gosh, I feel this right now. Like just being aware. And the first, I would say, foundation in mindfulness is mindfulness of the body. So maybe you're not ready to feel your emotions. You're like, no, that's really scary. Okay, just feel your body. Just just notice your hands. Maybe you notice your breath. Breath's always with you, right? Notice yourself breathing in. Notice your breath leaving. Notice it's warm when it comes in and it's cool when it leaves. Notice if it's pulsing right, it's fast or choppy, right? Just notice. Maybe you can even feel the blood pulsing through your body. Maybe you feel some heat in your hands.
Right.
So the first foundation is foundation of the body. So when you say, "Oh, I'm just not really ready for that," just sit and I have hands, I have feet. Wow, get curious. That's another word, curious. Get really curious about your fingertips. You know?
You bring a certain calmness. You bring I'm sitting here like, I want more. I almost want to do a little thing with you, but you bring a very uh, an amazing calmness um, to this space and to me in this conversation. You mentioned body, and I'm just going to bring this full circle. We may have to do this against this because we still haven't even touched on the surface of things you do and what you can do for other people. I want to talk about that, but really quickly, I just want to bring it full circle. So Curvy Girl conversations, we always talk about is more than just a body type, right? It's a mindset. You and I met, we had the whole conversation. This is definitely, Nuria definitely fits this mindset piece, right? But bringing it back to the curvy body type women, the curvy women that may not be confident because of childhood experiences, may not be where they feel that they should be with self-image or self-doubt or these beliefs that they have, right? Like bringing it back full circle to say, well, we all talk about the whole you are enough and self-worth and all that kind of good stuff. What advice would you give to someone that's sitting in that emotion, who
Yeah.
sits and lives through being uncomfortable in their skin and trying to get to the point? Like Cam and I hear all the time, oh, we want to be confident like y'all. Like we want
Right.
to know. What advice would you have for that person?
Yeah. And so we started out and I used some really strong words there. I used the word fat. Like that is a word that would be, for me, that would be like threatening. That would be like, oh no, like that's a very strong word right there,
Right.
And so you go back to that word and you go back to how you felt around that word, around someone saying that to you, and you give it another story, give it another explanation. Really, when you're ready, go to the point where you
Yes.
started feeling this, like what event happened, and you say, that ain't have nothing to do with me. Or you
Amen.
say, like,
Amen.
whatever
Amen.
you need to do to give it a
Mhm.
different explanation, you already been telling yourself a lie. So even if it's a lie explanation that you give it, just give it something else. Something else.
Right.
And then after you've done that, after you've given it another, whatever explanation you want is up to you. Just it has to feel good. It's got to be like you got to feel 90% better than what you felt before. If you don't, rewrite that story until it feels so freaking good. Like you are doing cartwheels, you are but praised it, whatever you need to do, you are doing it. And then create a new identity. Create a new identity around and it could start with, Nuri is the type of person that when she feels like she's getting upset about something, she realizes she's not taking care of herself. So what's she going to do? She's going to go do something for herself. She's going to feed herself, because that's usually, Furia came up when I was not feeding myself. I would like, I'm the Snickers commercial. So so I would, when Furia, I'm going to go get something to eat. I'm going to do something for myself because I'm not taking care of myself. So that I rewrote my identity. So this is identity based. I rewrote the identity that I had created, that I'm a bad person because I'm angry. And I rewrote that. And now every time Furia may come up, I'm just like, I rewrote this story. And thank you, Furia, for showing up and saying that I'm not taking care of myself, because I love taking care of myself. I love doing things for myself. I love, nourishing my body. I love walking outside. I absolutely love going to yoga class. I love exercising. I feel so good after I exercise. Like, really bring a new emotion. You hear how emotional I am about this? Before it was anger. Now it's I'm excited about this. Like,
Yeah,
y'all talked about excitement when you first
I
came
get
on.
the
I'm so
passion. Yeah.
excited about doing these things. So when you create your new identity, it has to feel amazing.
Rewrite your story.
Rewrite your story
I love it.
and have it be amazing. And that is how your listeners can create a new identity that's confident.
I love it.
And then every time, whoever it is that shows up and is not confident, I don't know what her name is, whoever it is, you just, oh, excuse me, remember we rewrote that, and just remind.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your insights as far as what beliefs are, what the origin of toxic beliefs are, and things we can do to combat that. I think that I'm going to beat Erika to the punch. We got to have you back.
Oh yeah, I'd love to
This is
come
not
back.
enough.
We didn't even scratch the surface of where we could go with this conversation. This has been amazing, and of course, we loved having you on. There's so much more to talk about with you, but you have a social media following. You have a business. You have. Tell us where. Tell us a little about your business, and then
Yeah.
where you can be found.
Yeah. So my business is Dragonfly Cultivated Healing. And working right now on getting a cohort together so that we can go through this process together. I feel like it's so much easier to do it when you have a support group around you. So that's my goal, is to create a cohort. And every week we would do identity-based coaching. One day is Reiki and restorative yoga, which it's really just laying on a pillow for like an hour. And then meditation, 20 minutes, just really easing you into that, all these thoughts that you have. And I'm telling you, people say, I can't meditate. Have all your thoughts and sit down with yourself. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. You got it.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
And so that's my business. Where can you find me? Nuria McGrath on Instagram, on Facebook. I am NuriaMcGrath.com is my website. Really doing amazing things. I want women to be free. That's it. I just want women to be free, because I want all the friends, and I want all the friends that can let go of the toxic beliefs we have, so that we can just be free and kick the water up into the sky.
Wow. And that's what we're doing here too, with community, creating community. And like I just said, and listening to you and feeling like, oh my goodness, I feel like we should have a session. Yeah, I think anybody that's going to be watching this is going to feel the same way. So number one, yes, like Kam said, we will have to have you back. Number two, y'all make sure that you connect with this phenomenal woman. And let us know if you have any questions or concerns. Drop your comments in here. Guys, this is Curvy Girl Conversations, where Kam and I get together with phenomenal women just like Nuria to have amazing conversations. Oh, yes. Now, so when we did meet, y'all see my background in the background, right? Backgrounding. Nuria was a Bronze Diamonds model for me, and she's been very supportive of the business and the brand. She's gorgeous. Lips are giving, right? So thank you, Nuria, for supporting Bronze Diamonds as well. I appreciate that. All right.
Are we done? Oh,
Is that it, guys? Look, I want
let's just say goodbye. Thank you all for joining.
Look, I'm like,
We'd love to have you again on soon.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say something else.
Are we done?
Well,
That was the awkward part.
Are we? I don't know. I don't want it to be bye.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Y'all get at us and be good. Holla at you.
And I'm at the Curvy Girl Code. Erika's at the Curvy Confidence.
Y'all. So yeah, find me on Instagram at the Curvy Confidence or the Curvy Con. You heard me? Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.